Today's MetroNews television forecast is brought to you by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun. Happy Friday, everyone, and thanks for checking in. Meteorologist Todd Nelson here, and we're continuing a very warm Friday. Storms will develop, though, late Saturday along a cool front, which is going to keep that shower potential around through the early part of Sunday as temperatures fall to below average levels, and then maybe a little patchy frost early next week. There is our severe threat Saturday afternoon and evening. Slight risk in yellow. That's a level 2 out of 5 in the severe weather scale. Damaging winds really the primary threat. So again, rest of our Friday, sunshine, a few clouds drifting in late and still very warm. Saturday remains pretty warm as well. Some spots approaching 90 degrees, and then late, here comes that front with those showers and thunderstorms moving on in. Fly CRW forecast. It starts at home, still very warm in the southeastern part of the nation. Temperatures into the 90s for Orlando and Tampa. Panhandle to panhandle forecast showing some pretty decent rains to the north with those isolated thunderstorms again rumbling in late Saturday into early Sunday. Again, now the first part of the day Saturday should be just fine and also quite mild. Not quite as much rain off to the east, maybe a quarter of an inch, perhaps up to a half an inch. Temperatures will be into the mid-50s in Petersburg, 54, and then topping out at 92 with those thunderstorms again developing late. As we head to the south and west, quarter to half inch amounts, isolated heavier tallies with any of these stronger thunderstorms, but it will be a quiet start. Harrisville at 61 degrees and Parkersburg at 85 for that afternoon high. As we head to the south, those precipitation values again approaching about a half an inch with temperatures topping out into the 80s. Charleston around 90 degrees. Then much cooler as we head into the weekend. Lingering showers Sunday, possibly Monday, and the sun does return Tuesday at 77 and then warming back up into the 80s late next week.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
Five, three,
Red 57, Red 57, hot, hot.
I don't believe what I just saw.
Bill McKenzie kicks a 38-yard field goal on the final play of the football game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
From the home of the state's land-grant institution, inside the Health Plan Studios, in the Dale B. Miller Building in Morgantown, it's time for the state's most listened to sports talk show. This is the CityNet statewide sports line. CityNet, cybersecurity experts for the digital age. And now, across the state of West Virginia and beyond, Sportsline is on the air.
And we welcome you into a Friday night edition of the CityNet statewide Sportsline, coming to you from the Dale Miller Building in downtown Morgantown. Sixth string co-host Joe Mercado, honored and privileged as always to be joined by the one and only, the coach, Greg Hunter. Greg, welcome in.
Well, welcome to you. Get you away from a beautiful day outside. You've already had some baseball duty. Further baseball going on this evening.
That is correct. And Coach Hunter, there's shows where we have that we can kind of ease into, tell a joke, take our time. This is not one of those shows because both of our guests have places to be in the next half hour. Coming up in about 10 minutes from now, we'll be joined by Glenville State head football coach Jake Casteel, former University High School linebacker and WVU assistant, now in his first season at Glenville State. So we'll check in with Jake in just a little bit, but there is a business to attend to for the Mountaineer baseball team over at Kendrick Family Ballpark as they open up a 3-game set with the Houston Cougars, and our own Greg Carey is there. Greg, welcome in.
Good evening. How you guys doing?
How do you always find a way to find the quietest place in the noisiest of environments, whether it's at the Coliseum or Kendrick Family Ballpark? Because we can hear you like there's nobody around you.
Oh, I'm actually right outside the media center right now. This is kind of the safe place to come, so let's hope there's no rowdy fans getting off the elevator here in the next few minutes.
Fair enough. Well, set the scene, if you would. I know the weather is an issue that has moved up the start time of tomorrow's game from 4 o'clock to 11 o'clock, but weather looking okay for tonight, and how about the crowd that's filing in?
Yeah, the crowd is certainly filing in. I got up here about a half hour ago, and it's certainly starting to fill in pretty nicely. It was about as expected here, about 5:45. You can start to see the traffic certainly increasing, and I think it not necessarily will be a sellout, but I think it'll certainly be close to it, and you'll certainly have a few thousand people here before long. I would say that there's probably already close to 1,000 here now, so certainly a series that, West Virginia looking to take care of business and kind of maintain some of the momentum that's been built recently with the midweek win at Penn State, which followed up the important series victory last weekend in Lubbock.
Yeah, and as you said, opportunity for West Virginia against the Houston Ball Club that's on the lower end of the Big 12 standings. Offensively, the Cougars are the lowest in the Big 12 in terms of those, averages. So this is a chance for West Virginia to, at home, continue to make some hay, I would think, Greg.
At least on paper, and obviously that's why I play the game. But, yeah, West Virginia's starting pitching has certainly been a strength. We'll see what they get out of Dawson Montesa tonight. He's obviously been a little bit up and down throughout the season. But, West Virginia's starting pitching by and whole has been a strength for this season. And as you mentioned, Houston is among the lower tier hitting teams to this point in the Big 12. So on paper, the matchup certainly favors the Mountaineers. As we know, anything can happen, particularly in a college baseball game. But West Virginia certainly, this is a series they are expected to win, and I would say that they need to win because it's not going to do them any favors in terms of their RPI and such, and their positioning within the Big 12, if they come out, losing 2 or 3 or all 3 to the Cougars.
Greg Carey joining us from Kendrick Family Ballpark as the Mountaineers get set to take on Houston in the opening game of a 3-game set. First pitch set for 6:30 tonight. And Greg, a lineup question and one new player that has been getting some reps and has been getting some spot starts, but Zahir Barjam is now in as the designated hitter tonight, and he's been getting more responsibility as the season has gone on. Had a base hit in Wednesday's game against Penn State. Him working his way into the lineup, and I know that Brody Kresser is working his way back to full health. Maybe he returns in a pinch hitting capacity tonight, but Zahir Barjam working his way into the number 8 spot in the designated hitter role tonight.
Yeah, and he's a player I got to look at. Lost some quality at bats. Got a pretty good experience in that UCF series a couple weeks back. So certainly a player that adds a little bit of a different dimension to West Virginia, and you're always looking to kind of roll that over in terms of your lineup. And somebody that provides a little bit of speed, but has also pretty much shown the ability that he consistently can put the ball in play. And I think that's kind of where, Steve Saban likes to think that maybe when, the opposing team thinks they have an easier out, so to speak, in the lineup, and West Virginia's plenty comfortable with a contact hitter up in that spot. And, obviously has its top hitter in the lineup, then coming up in a couple of bats later.
And Greg, Joe mentioned it at the beginning, but tomorrow's game, originally scheduled for 4, which was going to work perfectly as part of the football-baseball doubleheader, unfortunately, because of expected weather, has gotten moved up to 11. So now there is a clash between those two. And not that you have an opinion, but it is a bit of a sad state that you couldn't separate those two, but now they're going to overlap.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's not going to do any favors for either one, and you're certainly going to have to decide, I guess, if you're among the fans and want to try to see maybe, some people would probably plan to do both. Obviously, that makes for a long day, but it was certainly attainable with an hour and a half spring game and then being able to come across town and, within the next couple of hours for the start of a baseball game. But as you mentioned, because of the weather, they'll be playing tomorrow morning. So the 2 games certainly in a span, if you hear about 18 hours, if they can get them in. And, West Virginia's, like we said, looking to maintain a little bit of momentum, and Houston would like nothing more than kind of come in here and play spoiler.
Greg, as we get into now the second half of league play for all of the 14 Big 10, Big 12 conference squads, and amazingly enough, every single game has been played. There's been no rainouts or no postponements across the conference. Each team has played 15 games to this point. I would imagine that this is a series, yes, you always go into every series. The goal is to win the series and see if you could do more than that. But given the team that they're facing and the stakes that are still out there for West Virginia, I imagine this is probably one that Steve Saban is probably thinking, we need to find a way, if we can, to get all 3 in this series.
Yeah, I would think so. Kind of get greedy, so to speak, and for West Virginia, it starts with getting the first one tonight. Obviously it's going to be a quick turnaround, as we mentioned, and maybe a little bit less of some home field advantage tomorrow with, the clash with the football game. But obviously you have to start tonight on a winning note and try to get the victory with Dawson Montesa on the mound. Hope you can get a quality start out of him. And as you mentioned, get the bats going here at home and kind of back the strong support that we expect West Virginia and have come to expect West Virginia to have in this park at this stage in the season.
Greg Carey joining us live from Wagner Field and Kendrick Family Ballpark. You can check out his post-game recap at WVMetroNews.com, which will be the second post-game story from Greg Carey. You can check out his recap of the Morgantown-Washington game played in the McDonald's Classic earlier today. Greg, enjoy the game, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. You guys have a good night.
Greg Carey joining us from Kendrick Family Ballpark, and we make the very quick transition from Granville to Glenville as we are joined by Glenville State first-year head football coach Jake Casteel. And Jake, I understand we're catching you on a busy night, so we thank you for making some time for us tonight, but you have a spring practice. You also have a junior visitation day. Set the scene for what you have going on tonight in Glenville.
Yeah, so it's our second scrimmage of the spring, and we're doing it under the lights, kind of getting the game, more of a game feel to it. We scrimmaged last Saturday. It was still more practice-y than it was a scrimmage, and we got a bunch of, we wanted to push it back, get some high school kids here. I think we got 60 kids that told us they're coming, so hopefully we got a good, get a crowd there for the kids, a little more pressure, and make it as game-like as possible. So we're excited, kind of show what we got. We got a lot of stuff to show off here with the new facility, and a lot of people haven't been to Glenville even if they're from the state. So we're excited to kind of show off what we got.
Yeah, I'm certain you'll show it off and show it off well. But what have you seen so far from your club? Your first spring with the Pioneers, a lot of new faces that you're dealing with. What have you found out about your team?
Yeah, you're starting, this will be our 11th practice. So you start to see them kind of settle into the system, offensively, defensively, special teams. And, with all the new guys, you kind of worry about the team camaraderie, coming together. And, you bring in 30-plus transfers, a whole new coaching staff. And what I've been impressed with is how well they blended together, come together as a team. I think they get to spend a lot of time off the field together here as well. There's not a whole lot to do except hang out with your buddies down here, So I've been impressed with how well they've come together, how much they've trusted the coaching staff, and I think they're tough. We're getting them to play hard, and you're never fully satisfied with that. But I've been impressed with their want to so far.
So you're hired as the new head coach of the Pioneers back on December 8th, and I imagine since that time, although you're not preparing for a game, there's still a whole lot going on, getting your coaching staff in place, retaining guys, getting into spring practice, and then keeping an eye towards the future in recruiting. Has everything over the last 4 months kind of gone to a script that you had anticipated, or is it nothing like you had thought going in?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say probably more along the lines of not exactly what I thought. I told everybody, they don't tell you a lot of stuff when you take the job, and then you learn something new every day, okay, I'd never thought about that, or, okay, let's try to do that. Next time we do that, let's do it totally differently. A little bit trial by error. You kind of I had a plan. The plan changes, day to day, and, you kind of adjust to what works best. And it's a first. There's a lot of firsts for me, a lot of firsts for our staff. We're pretty young staff, and on guys like Coach Hill, who's been here for a really long time, a really good player here, and some of the guys I kept on staff that know how Glenville works, how the other side of campus works, how they've done things in the past, and maybe keeping some things and changing some things to do them differently. But no, I would say not necessarily was not stick to the script. There's been a lot of adjustments, but this time next year, I think I'll feel a lot better about the position I'm in. But I think I've settled in over the last, whatever it's been, 3-4 months, and, it's getting normal now.
Yeah, so Jake, obviously one of the firsts for you is the first time as a head coach. But, have had a really nice career so far as an assistant coach, but this has got to be different. What is the different world of being a head coach compared to being an assistant?
Yeah, very different, from going to just having a position room where you're in charge of, 5, 6, 10, 12 guys. And then now you take over. We're trying to get our roster to 120 kids plus. So you're in charge of the whole team. And the thing I got to remind myself the most is at practice. And I've been a defensive guy my whole life, coach defense, and I'm working with the defense here. And if the defense doesn't necessarily do well in the last period of practice, I might not be in the best mood. But I also got to be excited that our offense is doing well. So just kind of taking in the whole team aspect of everything, and you oversee everything. It's not just your position room. The whole team's your position room. And every little thing that you do, that I do, matters to the team and affects the whole program. So just kind of understanding that and figuring out the best way to go about things, and and then on the field, being excited for the offense as well. That's probably been a big learning. I think I've gotten better as spring ball's gone on, honestly.
And you kind of get into my next point that I wanted to ask you about, and Jake Casteel, the new Glenville State head football coach, joining us on the CityNet statewide Sportsline. When you're going through the course of spring practice, and ultimately it'll end with another intra-squad scrimmage, but do you almost want to see offense has the better end 7 times, defense has the better end 7 times? Do you walk away more comfortable from practice knowing that there's a little bit of give and take both ways?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's how you want it. There should be some good on both sides, some explosive plays from the offense. The defense should, try to stop the run, all that. And but, yeah, you want it to go both ways. Me and Coach Mullen, the offensive coordinator, we go way back, so we get pretty competitive. And sometimes the drill keeps going. Like if we won 2, they won 1, we keep going a little bit. But we got to be cautious of getting a little too competitive as coaches. But I think the players really good. I've been impressed with how competitive they get when we start doing, play it drills, live drills, like the flip switches with them. But yeah, no, you want to see some good and bad. There's been some good, bad, and ugly on both sides, and hopefully we clean up and there's a lot more good on both sides as we keep going through spring.
Yeah, you got a history with your offensive coordinator going way back. He was a young kid running around the Pushcart Center when you were, as well as obviously his dad was former Mountaineer offensive coordinator Jeff Bolin. But what kind of offensive system are you guys bringing together? I mean, you've seen a variety of things in your coaching career. What are you trying to implement offensively and defensively as well?
Yeah, well, one of our advantages is nobody knows because there's no film of me ever running a defense, and there's no film of Nate ever running an offense. So, but, number one, offensively, like I told Nate, we got to be able to run the ball. And number one, defensively, we got to be able to stop the run. So we put an emphasis on that in spring by how we practice with inside run, team run, being able to get at, everybody's on the same page of we need to be able to run the football, and we don't want teams to run the ball on us. And then, like defensively, I say control the pass. And, then Nate off of being able to run the ball, being able to push the ball down the field on, different pass concepts and things like that. So, my big thing offensively, defensively, special teams was that we keep it simple so the kids can play fast. They're not out there thinking, and that we beat people fundamentally with toughness and how hard we play. And I think we're getting that established. I tell I'm coaching the linebackers, I tell them all the time, I don't want to have to call a bunch of fancy stuff to win. I want to win because you guys know what to do and you outplay people in between the whistle. And that's kind of our mentality as a team, and they're slowly taking that on, I think.
Obviously, you have no shortage of influences and people that have played a part in your football development, not only as a player but as a coach. You can go back to your playing days at University High School and John Kelly, obviously your father, Jeff, who's been a longtime defensive coordinator at WVU, Rich Rodriguez. So do you kind of pull a little bit from each of those guys that you have met along the way and kind of develop your style from that, or is it completely different?
Yeah, no, I think I've definitely pulled a lot from the guys I've been around. And, obviously I lean on my dad, and, me and him don't have all the same beliefs, but I think every kid kind of turns into their dad as they get older. At least that's what my mom and my sister tell me. But, pulling away from him, like being around Coach Rodriguez for the last 2 seasons, and a guy that's been there, done that at every single level, and has been there, done that at Glenville. And being able to, and I could still pick his brain. He's been a resource for me. But just being around him on the day-to-day and how competitive his teams are, how he pushes the kids, but also how he puts his arm around them after he may get on them. And that, that's kind of the art of coaching. But being able to pull from all the places I've been and things I liked, things maybe I didn't like, and, put them to the test here.
You keeping your dad off the practice field from down there? I mean, I bet your mom's sending him down because he's probably driving her nuts now that he's retired.
Yeah, I think she's trying to get rid of him sometimes. He's supposed to come down tonight, actually, but I think since we're going a little bit later, he don't want to drive back to Morgantown tonight. But he's been down here to 2 or 3 practices. He'll come down next week, I think on Friday for, we're going to practice Friday and then do the spring game Saturday. So he's been back and forth. He watches our film every night on his iPad, so he's still getting his fill. but I think he is. He's playing a lot more golf. I don't know if he's at the house all the time, and I know he's bored because when I do talk to him on the phone, it's 30, 40 minutes now. Back in the day, it'd be like 5-10 minutes. So but he's doing well. He's enjoying retirement.
Last I heard, he was driving his neighbors nuts because he mows at like 5 a.m.
Yeah, he probably does. I need him to come down here and cut my grass. But no, he has become a yard freak in his retirement. He did during his first retirement. He was the same way. My sister was getting on him. But we might have the best yard. I don't know what that neighborhood's called they live in, but I think he's trying to have the best yard in whatever neighborhood that is.
Naturally. One more for you, Jake, and then we'll let you go. Your take on the roster that you have in terms of returning players, guys that you brought in throughout the course of the winter. And I know looking at your offensive line, you've got a couple Division I transfers, some guys that we know pretty well from the local area here. So your overall assessment of your rosters, strength, weaknesses, and where things currently stand.
Yeah, we definitely have some skill guys that can run, we feel like, in the back end on defense. At receiver, I really like our backs. I think our backs run really hard. They make you have to tackle them. Our O-line, we don't have a ton of them, but like I keep telling them every day, and the whole team, like how proud I am of the O-line. We got 7-8 guys, and they don't really get a whole lot of reps off. And we're going to help them. We're going to get more guys in here. We signed a bunch of high school kids. We're still looking for some more transfers. But our O-line has been the heroes of spring with how hard those guys have played with very, very little rest. And they're letting us practice just by, and they're really tough kids. But as far as the roster, we still got some spots to fill. We're still recruiting for the class of 2026, whether that's still some high school kids, some late signees. And we, at Division II, we still have the portal window, unlike Division I, where we can still bring in transfer guys, JUCO guys, things like that. So we're still working on the 2026 class, and today's kind of the start for us on get some early eyes on some 2027 kids, especially all the kids coming are from the state of West Virginia, which is awesome.
Jake, very much appreciate you carving out some time on a busy night. Wish you all the best of luck with tonight's practice, the rest of spring ball, and then as you get set for the season. But we appreciate you carving out a couple minutes for us this evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, thanks very much. Jake Casteel, the first-year head coach of the Glenville State football team, as the Pioneers put the pieces in place for the start of the 2026 season. The text line open to you throughout the course of the program. Hit us up there with your questions at 304-TALK-304. That's 304-825-5304. Coming up later in the program, we'll get into WVU football and talk about what to expect from tomorrow's Gold Blue Spring Festival. Certainly, if the weather allows. Hopefully we'll see as much football as we saw in last year's spring game, and we'll talk about that coming up later in the program. You've heard the buzz about CityNet Fiber expanding across West Virginia. Now you can check your address, choose the plan that fits your needs, and even pick up preferred installation windows. Check out citynet.net. Remember, CityNet connects, protects, and perfects. The CityNet statewide sports line continues after this.
If a fire occurred in your home, would your smoke alarms work? Don't wait for a tragedy to find out. Smoke alarms are designed to give you and your family the precious seconds you need to safely escape. Test your smoke alarms every month by pressing the test button until the alarm sounds. Depending on the type of battery in your smoke alarm, you may need to change the batteries at least once a year or whenever the low battery warning chirps, and never remove the batteries for any reason. Remember, having working smoke alarms is not only a good idea, it's the law. A message from the West Virginia State Fire Marshal's Office.
Running a small business means wearing a lot of hats, and dealing with tech problems shouldn't be one of them. CityNet helps West Virginia businesses keep their technology running smoothly, from networks and computers to backup, security, and day-to-day support. Whether you don't have IT staff or you have a small team that could use extra help, CityNet can take care of the technology or work alongside your team to fill in the gaps. With proactive monitoring, fast local support, and solutions built on CityNet's fiber network, your business stays productive instead of reactive. Call us at 1-844-CityNet to get started.
Ready to make this boating season unforgettable? Head to Lou Wendell Marine Sales, family owned and operated for over 40 years and West Virginia's largest Avalon pontoon dealer. Lou and his sons are boating experts from sales to service to repairs. And right now, their lot is packed with incredible inventory and some of the best deals of the season. Because they don't just sell boats, they sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com today. Boating season is almost here.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide sports line
Returns in 2 minutes.
on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
Sunshine, open roads, and a new Toyota from Dan Cava Toyota World. Lease an all-new Camry for as low as $398 a month. All new Tundras now up to $8,000 off. All new Tacomas now up to $4,500 off or lease as low as $399 a month. $7,500 off the new BZ or 0% financing for 72 months. We've got a Toyota for you at Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world.
You know CityNet is West Virginia's leading technology company. Whether we're managing IT infrastructures, protecting the critical data and networks of our region's businesses, or providing fiber broadband, TV, and phone services, we are your go-to experts. We're also a strong partner in the communities in which we serve. CityNet, your trusted technology partner. Learn more about us, visit citynet.net.
Looking for a show that talks about everything? You found it.
By the way, I'm really happy to talk about this as opposed to Ryan's opinion that being a sports fan is a bad thing.
He said that it kept him from being stressed about it, not that it was a bad thing, that he didn't have the stress. And, I mean, I've seen you pace.
Yeah, you're only 30 and you look like that.
So true. So
Join Dave Weekly and Coop weekdays for Hotline on Metro News Television.
We welcome you back into a Friday night edition of the CityNet statewide sports line. Joe Mercado and the coach, Greg Hunter, taking you up until 7 o'clock this evening. Join us on the text line at 304-TALK 304. That's 304-825-5304. Give us your thoughts on what you hope to see tomorrow during the Gold Blue Spring Festival, not to be confused with the Gold Blue Spring Game or the Gold Blue Spring Scrimmage, but the Gold Blue Spring Festival. And it'll be interesting that we'll see a one-sided stadium setup at Milan Puskar Stadium tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah. That was a note from Coach Rod the other day as well, that because they've put the stage up for the Jake Owen concert that will take place after the whatever.
The thing.
Yeah. They're going to only go towards the hospital end to avoid running into the stage. Not quite certain if the stage extends into the end zone, exactly how this is going to work, but they're only going to go one way. So that'll be a little bit different. But, you know, whatever you call it, festival, game, scrimmage, you know, last year there was a good bit of football. And so it's not just, you know, drills and, you know, other fun stuff. It's more, let's get down and play. And we saw that last year, and I expect to see similar amounts this coming year, starting at noon, going until 1:30.
And the rosters have just been posted on the WVU football social media site, so you can check out those if you like. There's the gold/white team and then the blue team. If you look at how they break up the quarterbacks for the gold-white team, essentially on both teams, you have the two guys that are presumed to be atop the respective depth charts, although Scotty Fox probably will be somewhat limited off a minor injury that Rich Rodriguez mentioned earlier this week. But the quarterbacks for the gold-white team, Michael Hawkins Jr., Jaron Hughley, and Spring Mills High School graduate Max Anderson. The three quarterbacks for the blue team, Max Brown, a returner from last year. As we mentioned, Scotty Fox Jr. and John Johnson III. The running backs break down like this for the gold-white team: Amari Latimer, Andre Devine, and Chris Talley. Chris Talley, a guy who's gotten a couple of mentions throughout the course of the spring. And the running backs for the blue team, Cam Cook leading the way, Martavius Boswell as well, and Darius Morant. So you can check out those rosters on the WVU media WVU football social media sites, and you could also check out a preview of what to expect tomorrow from Greg Carey that's posted at WVMetroNews.com. Aside from your go-to answer, which I'm not dismissing in any way in terms of offensive line play and what you want to see there, what are you most looking forward to seeing? What do you want to see? What do you think that will be the biggest takeaway once we're done with the 90 minutes tomorrow?
Well, usually, especially in the spring, and we had a half-hour opportunity to watch a week or so ago, but it was limited and there wasn't any contact during that. But I always keep my eye on the newcomers, right? And it admittedly, we got a chance to see some of them, but there's so many of those in the offensive line, so obviously that'll be part of it. But it's anywhere and everywhere. I mean, quarterback, obviously, with Mike Hawkins and others, especially when I see Hawkins in full go. Got a chance to see him throw the ball around a little bit the other day, but so many wide receivers. And I'm not certain how much running backs are going to get hit. Cam Cook and Amir Latimer are two guys that I think everybody wants to see at the running back position, but are you going to get a ton of full contact with them? You'll probably get some, but all the running backs other than Andre Devine are new, so I always like seeing them. And then defensively, I mean, pretty much everybody's new. There are a few holdovers from last year, but I always, maybe it's just try to get a little analysis or just a little bit of an early view on the new guys and what they can do. So I'll go across the board with everybody. But especially the new guys. What really piques your interest?
Well, the Coach Hunter, the only question is offensive line. I would like to see, and unfortunately I will not be joining you given the early start for the baseball game. That's where I'll be, but Greg Carey will be taking care of our coverage of football tomorrow. But no, I think if you were to see quarterbacks, and again, Scotty Fox probably will be limited, at least according to what Rich Rodriguez said. But in the open practice session, we didn't get to see a ton of the guys airing it down, throwing it deep down the field, things of that nature, which would be good to see. But, I think quarterback plays would certainly be interesting. If you ask the quarterbacks, at least according to the coaches, they probably would welcome the contact because it gives them the opportunity to pick up a couple more yards on a play than if it's immediately blown dead as soon as there's two-hand touch on the quarterback. But look, I think from a fan perspective, last year, as you said, there was a whole lot more football put on display than what we were led to believe going in. And there are other reasons for that the coaching staff is, trying to obviously – goal number one of any spring game is to limit injuries or the potential exposure to injuries. But take off your media hat for a second, if you would, and put on a coaching hat. Very appropriate for your nickname. How would you ideally set up a spring scrimmage from a coaching perspective, knowing that, look, people are going to come to this, they want to be entertained, they want to get a chance to actually put some names to faces and numbers, which – with so many new players that have come into the program over the last 2 years, that's been a limited opportunity in which to do so. How would you set up the ideal spring scrimmage?
Well, I do think you want to entertain fans, right? So while before the season is over, this may be 70%, 75% run, I'm not certain in this game you don't fling it around a little bit just to give the fans some thrills and spills, and also to show off what some of these new receivers can do. Anxious to see them as well, but I do think that you have to approach the spring game a little bit different than a typical practice throughout the other 14 sessions, and some of that is entertaining people. And you're hoping they get in free tomorrow, but eventually they're going to be a ticket buying crowd, and you want them to go, you know what? I'll plunk down my money to watch this team because they're going to be fun to view. And so I think you try to get a little bit of that in. I want to see what that can do. I mean, you're not going to go too fancy because while this game is not televised, not even on radio for those that are listening, but your game plan will get out a little bit to your future opponents. So you're not going to go too much with what you're ultimately going to do in the season, but you can do some fun stuff and throw the ball down the field and get some people excited.
Not one, but two texts on the text line, and you can join us there as well at 304-TALK-304. That's 304-825-5304. Both centering on one of the quarterbacks we maybe haven't talked a lot about in Jerron Hughley. Texters say, for the player I'm interested in hearing or seeing is freshman quarterback Jerron Hughley. Sounds like an exciting player from what I've read. And
I think that's fair.
Yep.
Yeah, very fair. I mean, he's another one of those young players in all, but certainly a quarterback that finished up with a really nice career at his high school in Florida, leading it to a state championship. Of course, he's the nephew of former Mountaineer quarterback Juwan Sider, now the running back coach at Notre Dame. So he's got some ties, but it does sound like he's got a nice future. So definitely want to see him. But if it weren't for Mike Hawkins and just wanting to get a good view of the Oklahoma transfer, I'd say Hughley would be way up there on my list as well.
Stephen Philippi, hey guys, and Coach Hunter, who are you curious to watch, or position groups? Steve also saying he's glad we're on YouTube, which
oh boy,
I mean, the argument could be made that that's not a great thing, but I mean, considering I'm not speaking for Coach Hunter. Never mind. Go ahead. In terms of position groups, from what Steve was asking.
Well, I mean, okay, you told me I couldn't say it earlier, but I got a direct question. I do badly want to see how this offensive line performs. Again, we didn't get to see contact work the other day, but we will tomorrow. So I want to see. If what we understand that this group is, and with so many newcomers there as well, if it's as good as we think and as good as we have been led to believe, and that includes the transfers, a couple of true freshmen, obviously Kevin Brown, one that, we've talked about ad nauseum, but everything we hear says he's had a really good spring. But there are a couple other true freshmen that I think are pushing for opportunities in the two deep as well, and then certainly all those transfers that are healthy and are going to be able to play. Some of it's me, but some of it is that's an incredibly important position for the 26 club.
Couple basketball notes before we take a break, and we'll get back into the football conversation later in the show. The signing of Javon Buchanan became official for the Mountaineers today. Buchanan joining the Mountaineers after spending this past season at Boise State, so he is officially in the fold, previously announced as a verbal commit and now signed. And also, a guy we've talked to a couple of times from the high school about a mile away, not even a mile away, across the bridge. Morgantown's Sharon Young has a new home.
Mm-hmm.
The Akron, after spending 2 years at Akron, Sharon Young now announcing he is headed to Western Kentucky. Of course, Akron going through a coaching change over this past year, and Sharon Young now with 2 years of eligibility to play at Western Kentucky. And we're keeping an eye on two more in-state products that are currently in the transfer portal. Deshaun Good, an outstanding player for Fairmont Senior, led the Polar Bears to a state championship back in his prep days. Has had a couple of years building up to what has been a very impressive college career. Played at Robert Morris this past year, started his career at the prep level, and has gone on to pick up a pretty impressive list of schools that he is looking at. So Deshaun Good is a guy we're keeping an eye on, and also Alexis Bordas, the former State Player of the Year from Wheeling Park, played one season at Duquesne before she announced that she is headed into the transfer portal. So be interesting to see where those two end up.
Alexis had a really good freshman season at Duquesne, and certainly good also as well. And maybe a bit of a surprise for Sharon, not that Western Kentucky's traditionally been a strong program, but I think initially when he hit the portal, a lot of people thought he was going to follow his coach to the College of Charleston in South Carolina, but ends up at Western Kentucky. And I don't know, you said a mile. I think it's more driver wedge. Maybe you can hit your driver wedge a mile, but
you have to get over the bridge.
Yeah.
And my drives are more line drives, so I don't know that would necessarily
use the
work.
asphalt as a little bit of a help on a
either way.
Yeah.
Yell for it at a very loud volume.
I'm snap hooking one into Deckers Creek, so it doesn't matter.
Also, former University High standout Blake Barkley, who played this past season at East Tennessee State, has announced that he is committed to Grand Canyon. So another Division I player from in-state navigating their way through the transfer portal. We'll get back into the basketball conversation coming up in our next segment. Since 1979, the health plan has called West Virginia home. From humble beginnings, they've grown alongside West Virginia, becoming part of its fabric for over 4 decades. They've been here through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses, proudly serving West Virginia for over 40 years. The health plan, the CityNet statewide Sportsline, continues after this.
Diabetes is the most common endocrine disease in the U.S., and WVU Medicine endocrinologists offer comprehensive care for this chronic disease. We also treat parathyroid, pituitary, thyroid, reproductive, and adrenal gland conditions. Trust WVU Medicine's fellowship-trained and board-certified endocrinologists to provide world-class care for all endocrine disorders. Call 855-WVU-CARE or visit wvumedicine.org/endocrinology.
Answering a text or phone call while driving. Seems pretty harmless, right? But in the 5 seconds you took your eyes off the road to respond, you missed the girl riding her bike across the street. You missed the dog who darted into the road. And you missed the stop sign. And while it was just a ticket this time, it could have been worse. In fact, more than 700 people are injured in distracted driving crashes each day. Keep yourself and others safe. Don't drive distracted. Just drive. This message was brought to you by the West Virginia Governor's Highway Safety Program.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan, we are here for you.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
Today's MetroNews television forecast is brought to you by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun. Happy Friday, everyone, and thanks for checking in. Meteorologist Todd Nelson here, and we're continuing a very warm Friday. Storms will develop, though, late Saturday along a cool front, which is going to keep that shower potential around through the early part of Sunday as temperatures fall to below average levels, and then maybe a little patchy frost early next week. There is our severe threat Saturday afternoon and evening. Slight risk in yellow. That's a level 2 out of 5 in the severe weather scale. Damaging winds really the primary threat. So again, rest of our Friday, sunshine, a few clouds drifting in late and still very warm. Saturday remains pretty warm as well. Some spots approaching 90 degrees, and then late, here comes that front with those showers and thunderstorms moving on in. Fly CRW forecast. It starts at home, still very warm in the southeastern part of the nation. Temperatures into the 90s for Orlando and Tampa. Panhandle to panhandle forecast showing some pretty decent rains to the north with those isolated thunderstorms again rumbling in late Saturday into early Sunday. Again, now the first part of the day Saturday should be just fine and also quite mild. Not quite as much rain off to the east, maybe a 1/4 of an inch, perhaps up to a 1/2 an inch. Temperatures will be into the mid-50s in Petersburg, 54, and then topping out at 92 with those thunderstorms again developing late. As we head to the south and west, 1/4 to 1/2 inch amounts, isolated heavier tallies with any of these stronger thunderstorms, but it will be a quiet start. Harrisville at 61 degrees and Parkersburg at 85 for that afternoon high. As we head to the south, those precipitation values again approaching about a 1/2 an inch with temperatures topping out into the 80s. Charleston around 90 degrees. And then much cooler as we head into the weekend. Lingering showers Sunday, possibly Monday. And the sun does return Tuesday at 77 and then warming back up into the 80s late next week.
Welcome back into a Friday night edition of the CityNet statewide Sportsline. Joe Percato and Greg Hunter taking you up until 7 o'clock this evening. Greg, the last media session for the WVU football team taking place on Wednesday, and Andrew Powdrell stepping up to the microphones as the player during that interview session. And an interesting backstory, like a lot of players. many stops on their college football tour, and he's a guy that's played at different levels and is now testing his skills at the highest level with WVU.
And like you said, so many players nowadays have a winding path in their college careers, and certainly Andrew, one of those, a defensive back originally from Houston, spent 2 years at a really good FCS program at Montana State. In fact, played for an FCS championship in one of his years there, but then wanted to test himself against better competition, so he moved to UNLV. UNLV was a starter there, just like he was at Montana State, and now, again, as he said, wanted to test himself at the ultimate level in college football in a Power 5 program, and has come to West Virginia for his senior season. So played mainly corner in the past, but nickel safety right now for West Virginia.
Let's hear from Andrew and the question from Coach Hunter, how he managed to navigate his way from Texas to open up his college career at Montana State.
Coach Baptiste, he's the D-line coach there, but he recruits like the Houston area. He had came to my school. They said they really liked my film, and then they just kind of watched me practice. This is during the spring, and shortly after they offered me, and honestly, I didn't think much. I was excited, my first, offer, but I didn't know nothing about Montana State football, nothing about Montana. But later that year, I took a visit up there, really enjoyed it. It was cold, but they had a lot of good people up there. And so, decided to commit, and, it was a blessing for sure.
Powdrell later talking about earning a WVU offer and his initial impressions as he stepped on campus.
Bigger opportunities, somewhere else. I feel like anytime, when you're young as a kid, it's always to play, big time football at the highest level, at the Power 4 level. So to just have the opportunity to come here and play with Coach Rod is, a blessing.
Tomorrow's Gold Blue Spring Festival. Powdrell talking about his expectations of the game and what he expects to see tomorrow.
Excited, to play football in front of some fans. We've been practicing, but not too many people are there watching. But to practice in front of people, go live, tackle somebody. Gonna have some family members there, so definitely gonna be fun.
Powdrell talking about his growth throughout the course of spring football.
I feel like I just learned how to be mentally stronger in the sense I feel like physically obviously I'm not the tallest, but physically, just running and strength-wise, I was fine. But just having the mental endurance to go through, a college football season, go through fall camp, go through spring ball, stay disciplined the whole time, and just go out there with the mindset to get better every day. That's definitely something I learned.
And lastly, from Powdrell, going up against the Mountaineer offense in practice every day.
All of them, I say we got two really good quarterbacks. Some really good running backs, with Amari and Cam Cook. They're stout, some big backs. DJ Epps at receiver, Weaver, they're both really good. Not too much on the outside, but Prince and them, they're really good. I'd say the whole offense, honestly, definitely every day you got to come bring your A game.
Coach Hunter, if he's stepping in front of the microphones, undoubtedly it means that the coaching staff thinks very highly of him, and he should be in the mix for playing time this season.
Yeah, I would definitely think so. Starting job, part of a rotational aspect. He's going to be very much part of West Virginia's defense this coming season in one form or the other. But as you said, what we've learned over the years, especially at this point in spring practice, they don't bring out a ton of guys, usually one during each interview opportunity. The ones they put out in front of us are usually guys that they feel are going to be players for them in the fall.
Mountaineer baseball team working their way out of a bases-loaded jam in the first, but Dawson Montesa able to work out of it without allowing a run, and the Mountaineers striding to the plate in the bottom half of the first in a scoreless game against Houston. Break to take here on the CityNet statewide Sportsline, and we'll put a wrap on the program next.
Answering a text or phone call while driving. Seems pretty harmless, right? But in the 5 seconds you took your eyes off the road to respond, you missed the girl riding her bike across the street. You missed the dog who darted into the road. And you missed the stop sign. And while it was just a ticket this time, it could have been worse. In fact, more than 700 people are injured in distracted driving crashes each day. Keep yourself and others safe. Don't drive distracted. Just drive. This message was brought to you by the West Virginia Governor's Highway Safety Program.
If you have a child who's a junior in high school in West Virginia or know someone that does, please listen up. Here's your opportunity to win a full scholarship from West Virginia Wesleyan College that includes room, board, tuition, and fees. The 19th Annual West Virginia Scholar Program is presented by ZMM Architects and Engineers and the West Virginia Farm Bureau. The deadline is May 3rd. For details, go to WVMetroNews.com to apply. That's WVMetroNews.com. Remember, application deadline is May 3rd.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan. We are here for you.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
What do you know about hot dogs? Because we've been all about hot dogs this week.
I love hot dogs, and I love them with Miracle Whip.
Oh, God, I forgot. Never mind. I forgot
and
about
onions.
this. Okay.
I actually, yesterday morning, I had a hot dog for breakfast at 6:45 with onions and Miracle Whip.
And with that, we'll be back right after this.
Join Dave Allen weekdays for midday on Metro News Television.
You know CityNet is West Virginia's leading technology company. Whether we're managing IT infrastructures, protecting the critical data and networks of our region's businesses, or providing fiber broadband, TV, and phone services, we are your go-to experts. We're also a strong partner in the communities in which we serve. CityNet, your trusted technology partner. Learn more about us, visit citynet.net.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
The Health Plan proudly supports our active and healthy communities and has been your most trusted carrier for over 40 years. Log on to healthplan.org for more information.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
Final segment on the CityNet statewide sports line. Joe Mercado and Greg Hunter joining you. Travis will be back in on Sunday to put a wrap on the Gold Blue Spring Festival. I want to call your attention to WVMetroNews.com. We've got some coverage of the McDonald's Classic, which is an annual high school baseball tournament held across a number of fields in north central West Virginia. A couple of games in which we have recaps of. Greg Carey has Morgantown's 8-4 victory over Washington. I've got highlights and a recap of the East Hardy, the defending Class A state champions. They picked up a 4-0 win over South Harrison earlier today. We also have a photo gallery from Bridgeport's 14-1 victory over Wheeling Park, and we've got the scores throughout the first day of the tournament as well. A number of games scheduled, hopefully, will not be affected by the weather tomorrow, but games across north central West Virginia on day 2 of that tournament to be played at Bridgeport, at Robert C. Byrd, at South Harrison, and at East Fairmont. You can check out the schedule for tomorrow's games on the Twitter site for Metro News Sports. So, Coach Hunter, over-under on full 11-on-11 plays from scrimmage that we will see tomorrow. The over-under is. I should have given you probably a little bit more time to think about that during the break.
I'll go 50. That's a high number.
Okay, that's
it's probably you probably should take the under. but I'll set the line at 50.
Now, Coach Rodriguez in the past has offered the opportunity for fans to call plays, I think particularly in 2-point situations. If given the opportunity to call a 2-point play, your play call would be?
Anything reverse pass oriented where somebody besides a quarterback throws the football. And if you can throw it to a lineman, eligible lineman, obviously.
Naturally.
An offensive guy, not the defensive guy, all the better.
Mountaineer baseball team retired in the bottom half of the first, so we go to the top half of the second. No score between the Mountaineers and Houston. And again, Greg Carey will have a complete post-game recap and photos at WVMetroNews.com. And again, in case you missed the opening segment of the show, a time change for Game 2 of that series at Kendrick Family Ballpark tomorrow. First pitch, due to anticipated weather, has been moved up from 4 o'clock to 11 a.m. So unfortunately, it does happen at the same time as the Gold Blue Spring Festival. But 11 a.m. will be the first pitch for the Mountaineers in Houston in Game 2 of that series. As of now, Game 3 still set for 1 o'clock on Sunday. And they did make a mention, the WVU football, on their social media timeline, that if there's any changes to the scrimmage itself, to the festival, that they'll make those updates on social media tomorrow.
There you go, if the weather bothers.
But it could be 80 degrees and sunny the whole day and nothing is affected. We'll go with that.
Yep. It is supposed to be warm.
True.
But precipitation seems to be a problem.
Beat some spring game days where we've, not had the game
snow
because of the cold weather or frost, but you get the idea.
Yeah, maybe there was snow. Somebody said there was a threat.
That's true. 2014. No, never mind. We thank our guests, Jake Casteel and Greg Carey. We thank all of you for joining us on this edition of the CityNet Statewide Sportsline. Greg and Travis to put a wrap on the Gold Blue Spring Festival on Sunday night.
From the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet Statewide Sportsline is an exclusive production of the MetroNews Radio Network.
All rights reserved.